Hello all and welcome to tonight's beer review, which I'm calling the sleep deprivation beer review because I've had 3 hours of sleep over the past 36 hours or so. Yeah, so since about noon yesterday, I've been up, except for maybe a small nap, a very short nap and dozing off. And it's showing, isn't it? So yeah, I'm probably going to conk out after this. And why? Because it's the 7.3 ABV. Now this is Farm Out Saison, Belgian-style ale by Worthy Brewing of Bend, Oregon. Bend being the small town in central Oregon that has many, many great breweries. So let's read the label. Fruity and spicy flavors from a unique yeast strain add to the complexity of this French/Belgian-inspired ale. Complex yet refreshing, this may be the perfect beer for all occasions. 25 IBUs, moderately bitter. In the traditional sense, not the current sense of bitterness über alles. So, what do you know about Saisons? Saisons are basically made with special yeast, which leads to a very defined character, as well as the heavy use of traditional adjuncts like spices and herbs like coriander, lemon peel, nutmeg. It depends. A lot of places have their own special blend. It's called Saison because it was made for seasonal workers. It'd be made during the winter to be drank during the summer. And usually it was a pretty light pale ale style. This is a bit heavier than the traditional Saison. So let's get to it, shall we? Okay, quite fizzy. What we have here is a nice, rich, I'd say golden yellow, some slight orange tinges, with a thick, fluffy white head. Very clear, not much chill haze, very carbonated. Definitely got a lot of cloves there. There's a smell of lemon and lemon peel. Hints of bubblegum. Or maybe more like juicy fruit gum. Certain spiciness, like allspice almost, but not in the sense of the winter ale. Just a very pleasant smell. There's also a nice flowery essence to it, but not in the way of noble hops. It's more like a honeysuckle kind of like flower. Mouthfeel is surprisingly thick for the style, and also surprisingly thick for the amount of carbonation it's throwing off. Immediately, you almost get that sort of whetstone kind of taste, which is odd considering it's more of a Pilsner-like thing. I'm wondering if it's I wonder if this does have noble hops in it actually. Spiciness is actually very muted. There's not much pepperiness to this at all. Very much almost like a candied citrus peel aspect in the middle. and a bit of a lemony, grassy tang in the finish, with a light amount of bitterness. I wonder if this was dated. Not dated. I have a feeling that this one's been on the shelf for a while. Why? Because it really seems like a very well-made ale, but it just seems quite muted. So the more volatile aspects are very muted on this. Saison being one of the more volatile styles, basically, you know, it doesn't keep for months on end. It's made to be drank within 6 months. It hides its alcohol very well. Oddly enough, it tastes a bit more like a regular Belgian blonde. It's not as dry as we would expect for the style. There's a bit of a candied sweetness, but I think part of that is because a lot of the more volatile aspects, that sort of peppery and spiciness, isn't there in the back end. It's really strange that it's not showing up on the palate, but it's still very, very apparent in the bouquet. Bouquet on this is very wonderful while you're drinking. I'm not really sure. Maybe I would have twitched the bitterness just a bit higher. It's a little bit too sweet for the style. A little bit too sweet and heavy. In my opinion, the style should be a more refreshing, lighter style. There's some spice there in the finish, but it's more that that dried fruit as well as lemoniness. I'm expecting a little bit more of a herbal twang to it. And there is twang, especially in the front, but it doesn't continue throughout. Twang. That's a descriptive thing. It doesn't have that twang. I guess you kind of have to know Saison to kind of tell what that twang is. It's rusticness, I suppose. Like the term foxy used in regards to wine. It's something that you have no real idea what it really means until you taste it, and then it's like, yeah, that's what foxiness is. So, in end, because it doesn't seem to be changing much as it warms up. In fact, it's getting a little bit more cloying on the cloying side than anything else. What can I say about this beer? Well, bouquet is beautiful. The body is just a little bit too heavy for the style. And we've got a lot of that residual sugars there, so it's a little bit too sweet for the style. While it's hiding its alcohol well, it's not really being that sort of refreshing, clearing sort of beer, which would be hard to do at 7.3. What else? This bottle seems to be perhaps on the shelf a little bit too long. A lot of the more volatile aspects of the hops and the herbs and spices used seem to be muted. So it might be a little bit better fresh, but I'm thinking it's still really not too style. And what I mean by too style, I mean being a fairly refreshing and lighter bodied pale ale. So, would I drink this again? It's not a bad beer. Not a bad beer at all. In fact, it smells quite wonderful. But is it what I'm going to be reaching for when I'm reaching for, you know, a Saison? Probably not. Well, as with all beer, and I know it's pretty rare when I give like a sort of mixed or negative review to a beer that's well crafted like this one. As with everything, tastes may vary. I encourage you, unless I find it absolutely abysmal and horrible, to try it for yourself and see how your taste buds and nose compare it. I'm looking forward to trying more beers from this brewery. So that's our beer review for tonight, folks. Cheers.